now that we've taken all the veggies out of this and they're nicely pickled, they all look good, they smell good, I'm going to taste one. They're salty, they're not sour enough for me because I think the salt percentage is high enough. I don't think I'm going to add more salt to this. Not sour enough for me and slightly bitter, but that's just this vegetable. So what we have from that big box that Kikui Farm sent, there's turnips. And Mr. KOBO doesn't like turnips. So I will make this into a shalgam achar for us. Like a Indian one. I'll also throw some other stuff into it, like this kohlrabi. And in this thing, there's some really good radishes. So mooli, I'll put that in. And some carrots. So I washed these. I'm not going to peel them. I'm just sticking them in as is. I did it because I want to simplify my life in general, especially in 2023, right? Yeah, so that's what I want to do. I'm trying to reduce as much as possible and get the same stuff, like all my ferments. I'm trying to reduce and simplify them and get the most extraction from each, and that makes it more efficient for my brain.
What do you think?
It's just, you get yourself a jar like a crock like this, or even a regular crock. It works better with a crock. If you don't have one, you can use a glass jar, put an airlock on it. That works better. Then you can get away without an airlock in a batch, like batch pickles, but for continuous ones you want something that has an airlock. In the brine, it's just water and salt. I started with 8%, but I added more, but this one is quite concentrated, so I'm not adding any more salt to this. I'm just adding the veggies.
How old is this?
It's not very old. It's a fresh one. I started like 4 months ago. So I have these ones that I took out. So these I will use in the meantime while these ferment. I don't know. I think it's cooler right now. It might take about 15-ish days for this to be ready. So before I would have said I wouldn't add beetroot to this because it'll color the whole thing purple, but right now I kind of want that because it also looks pretty. I don't think there's things that I wouldn't add. I just like change the timing. Maybe if I added cucumber or tomato, I would pull that out a little bit quicker and I would add them in whole. So since I've belatedly decided that I want to also add in this kohlrabi into this and keep the turnip separate for the pickle, go ahead and remove some of this brine, because that's what happened last time. I started adding in too much stuff and then the brine overflowed and that's what made the mess. I'm gonna just pull some of this out and it can always be added back if we want more. Quarter this. I'm not gonna peel it because when it ferments, it's quite a nice texture. Gets very crunchy. This is the best time to do it because that veggie box arrived at like 5 this morning, and so these are super fresh. They were harvested like I think yesterday morning. It's fresh vegetables are a joy to work with for fermentation. Now I'm adding some vodka in here because that instead of a weight, it works really well. Do you want to know the science behind it? So the science behind using vodka, which the brine is like, it's a regular brine that you would make to ferment things with, but it's very interesting the use of baijiu in the Chinese pickling technique which can be replaced with any neutral flavored grain alcohol. My friends Iluin, who is Savage Crack on Instagram, they use gin in pickles, which is really nice because juniper as a flavor is really nice in pickles. I'm keeping mine neutral, so vodka it is for me. So any alcohol that is distilled is water soluble. Salt is also water soluble, but when you have brine, alcohol is not water soluble. Does that make sense? Like it stays on top because of like physics, density and things like that. And so this vodka that we put in just stays in the top layer. It acts kind of like a weight. If you put enough vodka, there is no calm yeast and there's no mold either.
But then as you eat and stir, it will always come back up.
It will come back up. It will float back to the top.
Because of the density.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Well done. You can fill it with either just water, or I fill it with a mix of some of this brine that we pulled out. You can top that with vodka as well, or with white vinegar. I'm gonna go with vodka because it can just be used to pour back into the jar at the end. So this is just to keep calm yeast away. To fill the moat, what I'm going to do is, instead of water, I like to use white vinegar. It evaporates kind of at the same rate, but at least there won't be any calm yeast and those annoying fruit flies come and make a home in there. And you can always top this up with a little bit of water. If you dilute it a little bit, it doesn't matter. And then place this on top. So there we go.